So we're just here at this awesome lookout with the CFMoto 650MT. It's an adventure tourer. As you can see here, what kind of gives away the more adventurous side of things is the massive crash bars that'll make sure not too much damage is done in the occasion that you do fall over. You've also got plenty of room on the back for panniers. They won't come standard on this model, unlike the previous model, and there will be new redesigned panniers, so that'll be something a little bit different. One thing you'll notice, it's got that 650 engine in it, which is a nice engine. It's quite punchy for the capacity. It's very nice to ride on the freeway around town. It's just a little bit on and off as you're coming off the throttle. It's got an adjustable rear. It's got CFMoto forks on it, J-joint brakes with braided lines. It's got this nice swing arm on the rear now, which is a nice improvement. Still got that really simple exhaust. Nice styling overall. It's got these light bars around the front headlight which come on when the bike's on. Adjustable screen, ABS. What else has it got? It's got handguards. It's just a pretty well spec'd all-round adventure tourer for the price. It's got a fair few things going on here. It's got like the sport and the economy mode. We'll put it back into, or I think S is for sport, E is for apparently touring according to the dash there. It's got a gear indicator, which is good. You've got your time, you've got your petrol gauge, just everything you'd expect without having, extensive electronics. Nice fire trail here. This is kind of probably more what was envisaged for this bike with this kind of setup. Like a bit of everything. The one thing you will notice there is that at full lock, the mirror just hits. Just something I've noticed in the tallest position, so something to keep in mind. Not too much of a drama. Get it into second. Now see, for this kind of thing, I'm actually impressed, It's handling this well. It's what you'd expect. I can only assume someone has dropped that branch, because that's quite a deep. Yeah, that looks pretty deep. This. Oh. So I've done a couple of different sections. I've done like a really tight, rough, shitty, semi-sealed road. It did struggle a little bit on that, just because that real roughness was a fair bit of a problem. The suspension was getting quite jittery. However, when I went back and did another section of more like a fire trail kind of thing, which is more what you'd expect, it did quite well. It did really well. It's easy to stand up on the pegs, so you get that nice easy control, a lot more feeling. That was quite natural. There was no discomfort in doing that, so that worked really well. Suspension was working significantly better there as well, even though obviously it was less rough. Still a bit of gravel, a little bit of mud, not really any sand or anything like that, but just that regular easy fire trail, which is what I personally would be doing on something like this. I wouldn't be taking this down those crazy single trails, because I think you'd possibly get in a little bit of trouble if your skills are limited like mine. However, overall, I think when you combine that off-road ability with the road ability, you've got a great machine. Especially for the price, this is a very inexpensive bike at the end of the day. Just when you look at what's available and how much you pay for those big premium adventure bikes. This certainly has a lot to offer. On the road, it's great fun to ride. It's got a nice power plant in it. The brakes, I think the lever, the master cylinder might be the issue there, because there is good power. It's just the fact that it's, you know, not the easiest thing to access. It's just a bit of an all-rounder. Like a lot of these really well-priced Chinese-made kind of new entries to the market, it's a surprisingly polished machine to ride. It's quite fun. It's got really nice power from that power plant. I would assume this is learner legal. I'll just have to double check that, but it really feels like it's got, you know, quite generous power, and it's just a fun thing to ride. I've just come through town, up the freeway, doing a bit of the twisty stuff. For a single rider who might occasionally take someone on the back, whether it's just for a weekend ride or a bit of a longer ride, I think this machine's, you know, really a fun, good, great value offering. I have noticed that rear shock lacks a little bit of control on the compression side of things. These are reasonably rough roads. It is long travel suspension, so it's quite soft. It's not wallowy, but you do feel that greater travel in the suspension. You do feel that you use a fair bit more of the stroke than you would on a sportier machine. However, that's not a criticism. I think overall it's quite good. I'll see if I can dial in the rear shock a little bit better for my weight, and we'll see if that cures that issue. On this section of road, there are some really big bumps that normally catch out the rear suspension on pretty much anything but the best. So not too much of a good criticism there, just a note. The front end feels really nice. I don't really have that much to say about the forks. There's no massive dive on brakes. Obviously, because it does require a fair bit of input through that lever to get the brakes really working at, you know, strong power, that somewhat offsets the need for really good support on the brakes. But at the same time, the front end feels very well sorted. Alright, so just having done that pretty rough section, suspension is pretty jittery. It's obviously long travel, however I'd say it's more suited to the road, to the freeway, to the touring side of things. You do have adjustability, so you'd be able to work around that somewhat. I would just have to say that it's an all-round tourer with that little bit of adventure, which is, I think, with a lot of these bikes, that's what it is. It's a light adventure. You're not going to be doing the kind of stuff that you'd be doing on, you know, like a 450 off-roader. They don't have the electronics, which provides a bit of a safety net that some of those massive bikes have. This is much shorter, easy to ride, relatively easy reach to the ground. Just gonna go back and have a look down that trail. So it's yeah, quite a competent machine. As with all of these things, you know, it really comes down to just what you're looking for in your bike. So if you've liked the video, don't forget to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Like it if you have liked it, subscribe it if you'd like to see more of our stuff, and check out the full bike review at BikeReview.com.au.